Hi there. Good morning. Today is November 17th, 2022. There's a new face today. It is me, Rob. Oh, there's Andy right there. Yeah, we wanted to go ahead and bring you a great show today. Today, Randy or Alan's not in the office. He had some appointments to take care of, so it's going to be myself, Andy today.
Good morning, everybody.
Andy, there's been some really big news, right? It looks like Republicans have won the House, ending Democratic control of Congress. Think about it. That's 2 years of one party controlling the House, and
Yeah,
we finally took it back, right?
that's amazing. I mean, I know a lot of people are expecting a bigger victory in the House, getting, a lot more seats, but still, having control of the House is a major thing. And the investigations we're going to be talking about that Jim Jordan's going to be leading, I think they're going to make a huge impact on the mindset of the country.
Right. Right. Listen, I'm glad that you hopped right into that. So, unfortunately, I know a lot of the viewers they hate or they dislike when I'm on my phone, but most of the information nowadays is readily available at your hand, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the oversight committee with Cormer and Jim Jordan are doing a presentation today, right, in front of Congress,
Uh-huh.
to where they're actually showing how compromised Hunter Biden and his father Joe Biden and really the partnerships that they had and all of the money that the son, their partners, and Sleepy Joe Biden, have received from China, the Middle East, Ukraine, etc. And believe it or not, Biden was going to give China fuel and a part of the production here in the U.S. to Z, right? So you have Jim Jordan Cormer really diving deep and exposing who Joe Biden and who Hunter Biden is. And I'd love to know more about that laptop,
Oh,
right?
I mean, it, I saw a report that said there were over 50 crimes that were committed. These are serious crimes. We
Right.
we all know what's going on there. We all know he was peddling influence in getting his $83,000 a month salary from Ukraine, the oil company, so
Right.
so that so they wouldn't be investigated. It's the highest level of sleaze and corruption that's in the government. We know is there, and it's so obvious. The FBI, the disgusting, repulsive FBI, has done nothing,
Yeah.
nothing for 3 years. They've had this laptop. We know it's on there. Remember when it was all Russian disinformation?
Right.
Remember
Yeah.
that? Well, no, it's not. Everybody knows it's real now. It's not Russian disinformation. It's real. Has Hunter Biden has committed extraordinary number of crimes, and he's been protected by the deepest, most powerful levels of the government.
No, 100%. And uh, one thing I'm going to be, well, at least for me, what's interesting for me is like seeing people do work, right? Seeing people uh, do right by their country, do right by the people that they support, do right by the people that they're attempting to attract, right?
Yeah.
And point blank, I love Jim Jordan. He's a great guy.
Do you
Right?
know he's a wrestler?
Did I know he was a wrestler?
Yeah,
At what capacity?
he was a major. You didn't know that?
Like
For everybody
NCAA
out
level?
there, yeah. Rob was a state champion wrestler, and Jim Jordan he was a college level. I think he was a national level wrestler. He
Okay.
was a very high level wrestler.
Okay, like Pac-10 national championship.
No, I think Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Yeah, because
Big Ten.
he's from Ohio,
Okay.
right?
Oh,
So
that's prominent wrestling caliber.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
top-notch
but
caliber
Jim
wrestler.
Jordan was a very high level wrestler, and it's funny
Yeah.
because Trump had some event at the White House
Right.
where he had some sports team
Okay.
that came there,
Uh-huh.
and he said, all they want to do is talk to Jim Jordan about wrestling. They don't want to talk to me. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that, but it was funny because Jordan. I mean, he was a big figure. He was a very top level wrestler.
Well, hey, listen, I learned something new every single day. I mean, if he's coming out of Ohio, and he wrestled at a collegiate level,
Yeah.
right, Big Ten level, then that is somebody that is even more to admire because to put all the effort into wrestling. Not a lot of people understand that wrestling is, um, you know, 6 minutes in hell. To be honest with you, it's
Yeah.
6 long, strenuous, capitulating minutes to where you could really tell who has mental fortitude. Because that's all wrestling is who has the stronger mentality
Yeah.
to push through, use
Right.
that extra endurance to actually outpoint, out tech, or pin a guy, right? And it's a lot of people aren't built to wrestle, and those who could actually make it to a collegiate level and wrestle that high of a level, kudos to them, right? It makes sense why he's in the position he's in, right?
Yeah, I hope he uses all of his wrestling tactics on the mental level when he leads. He's the right guy to be leading this. He's one of
Right.
the only guys in Congress that really puts people's feet to the fire, and he really stands up for a lot of issues that that the public, we read about and we see, in the Gateway Pundit, in Liberty Daily, we see all these issues, and nobody. He's one of the few guys who really um, brings them to light in Congress. So I hope he does a great, thorough investigation. But we'll see. I'm skeptical. We're both skeptical that anything is going to happen with
Well,
the
the
Sam.
presentation's today.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see what will happen. You know, most people are going to look at this as a life-changing presentation. This could be the demise of the Biden administration as a whole. But on to some other news. And for those who are listening right now, if you hear background noise, it's just the construction workers on the opposite side of our office building out the newsroom. And I'm super excited to see where that goes and how that looks when it's all said and done. But Andrew, listen, there was a massive report yesterday in the housing sector. According to the Wall Street Journal, it says that home builder traffic just hit early 2008 levels. And look, I don't think people understand or fully grasp how bad the housing recession and the housing crash and how that's going to end up becoming the worst housing crash in history. Think about it. Home builder traffic has hit early levels of 2008. This is unprecedented right now.
So it's dropped that low, you're saying?
It's at the same level of 2008. Exactly. It's dropped that low.
Oh.
Guys, I wish I had access to our other laptop that we have in here because I would be able to show you a chart of where home builder traffic is compared to where it was and where it is right now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's a great point you brought up, Rob, because like we brought up yesterday, consumer credit card debt is at a 15-year high.
That's massive. That's fucking huge.
And okay, so you see that. Now you see the decline in home building. We're starting to see home prices come down. You're seeing it already. So we're really seeing the effects on everyday middle class Americans on how this economy is facing them. So we're really starting to step deeper and deeper into the waters of the recession.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think a lot of the retail investors who are still in the market, quote unquote, buying the dip, right?
Yeah.
When they start to see the housing market crumble and just completely collapse,
Yeah.
I think that's their indicator to exit out of the market. But it's very unsophisticated on their end to look at that as a leading indicator on when to sell positions and
Right.
fully eject out of the stock market. You have to think about it. According to the Wall Street Journal and Fox Business, more money has left the Wall Street casino than ever before in recorded history. And you want to know what? That's all institutional money. That's all accredited investor money.
Yeah.
Retail is always last to exit out of the market. And I think that because of their mentality and because of their buy the dip mentality, the fear of missing out mentality, they get wrecked. And this is why it's extremely important to understand that you need to have something real in your hands, just like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, because, we were talking yesterday that it looks like and it appears that metals are entering another phase into the bull market. I know you wanted to touch on that today, and if you could just let the listeners know and educate them on what to expect in the metals market, the floor is yours,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, thank you. So, um, the great famous precious metals investor Rick Rule has talked often about how uh, precious metals bull markets usually have an 11-year cycle. And if we go back to the beginning, which is roughly of this precious metals bull market, it's roughly 2016. Okay, so that would place us about 6 years in to the to this bull cycle. And we've been seeing in the last 2 years, what have we seen? We saw a move up to a little over 2,000. Now we've
Right.
been consolidating around 17, 1800 for a couple of years.
But it's a bullish consolidation
It's a
at that.
exactly. It's a cup and handle bullish consolidation, and we're really just getting poised for the next big move up. And something that he points out also is that usually silver shines in the second half of the bull market. We saw gold really, really shine earlier, and I think gold will still go up, but silver really comes to the fore and in the second half, and we should see a big, big move in silver. And I just wanted to add one thing, Rob. You're talking about how the retail investors kind of being the last to know. I was just talking with a client yesterday.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, and this guy was just he's been a bus driver for 47 years.
Okay.
Pension fund, is it the 457? What do you say?
Yeah, I believe when you spoke to me about the guy, he
450.
inherited a 457B
Yeah.
deferred comp plan. Yeah,
Right. So he had a deferred comp plan
from the city.
and in the city, and he said, I'm looking at my account, and it was 95,000. Now it's 70,000.
Right.
Okay. So
Wow.
this is your average American. He's hardworking. He's getting ready to retire.
But do you see how he's still invested in the market,
He's still
though?
in the market because
he didn't have the idea to move his account into cash, right?
No, exactly.
And to understand his options that he had. But go ahead. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to cut you off.
because so many of your hardworking American people are in pension funds. They're connected with pension funds, and they're leaving their money in there. To hope it grows. They don't want to touch it.
Right.
You just leave it alone.
Okay.
But they're like the last ones to kind of pick up. Hey, my account's down 25%. Where you been, buddy? The market's been going down, and I try to tell them that, hey, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing huge layoffs. We're seeing prices go to through the roof.
Right.
We're seeing the beginnings of a deepening of the recession.
Right.
So you're right. A lot of times, your average person who's just a hardworking person who wants to put their money away and save, they're kind of the last. And then all of a sudden they realize, hey, the price of my house is down 20, 30%.
Right.
Then it starts to hit home.
And that's how a majority of Americans today, at least, your average individual who works 20, 40, 50 years, and
Yeah.
they save up and they buy their house and they add appreciation to their house, and they consider their net worth based upon the value of their home.
Oh, that's a huge part
Right.
of it. Yeah.
And that's the psychology of an individual. I mean, at least of the, and I hate to put it this way, but it's reality, right?
Yeah.
Unsophisticated investors, right? That's their mentality. And when you spoke to me about the gentleman you spoke with, and the conversation that we had was like, he's starting to now realize that, hey, listen, I need to make changes to my 457B. I can't make changes to my pension since I'm already taking a distribution monthly from the pension. I got to make a move, right? After losing 25% of his retirement or his inherited retirement account, he's now deciding to make a move, right? If I were him, right, and this is not financial advice, this is just giving our listeners an idea of how we would help them, right? If I were him, how would you help me out with the 457B? What would be the process or the steps associated with that?
Yeah, we would basically take those funds from the 457B. The person can cash them out and move them very easily into precious metals. you can have any balance of gold and silver that you would like, coins or bars. We get you set up with that, and you'd have a real asset
Yeah.
that's not part of the stock market.
Right.
That because look, I mean, look at we see what happened with this, Sam Bankman fraud. That people's money is just gone.
Right.
It's gone.
Good.
And
Right.
these are people, Tom Brady and his wife and a lot of famous people were invested in that and involved in that project, and the rug's pulled out from under them.
Exactly. 100%. They've been decimated, completely
Yeah.
decimated with that centralized exchange, FTX. Yeah. I mean, so ultimately, it sounds like the steps would be quite simple. You would tax and penalty free. Roll over that 457 into a new IRA, the self-directed IRA,
Right.
and basically allocate his account, the funds accordingly. Gold coins, gold bars, silver coins, silver
Right.
bars, mix and match platinum, palladium, right?
Yeah.
Giving them a solid physical, tangible asset IRA, right? And for those who are listening right now and those who will listen, you could always give myself or Andy a call or even Alan a call at 1-800-753-8534. That is 800-753-8534. Give us a call, learn more about the self-directed precious metal IRA, or even educate yourself on how to take your uninvested cash and purchase physical gold. Because to be honest with you, you will get decimated. You will become a slave to this criminally syndicate control socialist organization that's, eroding America's life savings right now. And just to speak about Sam Bankman fraud, or like, Alan likes to call him Sam Bankman poodle hair fraudster, whatever he says, right?
Scam Bankman fraud.
Yeah, scam
Make
Bankman
up your
fraud.
own funny name for it.
Yeah. Funny enough, there's photos circulating right now through crypto Twitter that he's not in custody of or in side of the Bahama police or authorities, whatever. No, I don't know how real this is. Allegedly, there are multiple photos circulating around of him freely walking through a grocery store, a convenience store, texting on his phone,
Right.
probably trolling crypto Twitter like he has been over the past couple of days.
Yeah. Why hasn't this guy been arrested? Why?
Because allegedly he's well connected. That's all I'll
say. Yeah,
right?
We know that, right?
Hey, by the way, did you hear about how and they call it shilling, right? Shilling in crypto Twitter, right? Basically promoting, right? I believe it was Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, and many other individuals right now who have a massive, and this is huge, lawsuit against them because of the demise and the collapse of FTX.
I saw that, yeah.
What do you think is going to happen with these very famous individuals like your Giselle Bouchang, your Tom Brady, your Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, your Stephen Curry, who plays professional NBA for Golden State, right?
Yeah.
What do you think could happen with them?
That's interesting. I don't know. They're trying to say that these celebrity endorsers should have known or should have had some awareness of what was going on in the company. And to be honest, I don't know if that that's going to hold, because if a company pays you, I don't think you're expected to know the inner workings of the company. Or
right, you're just getting paid to show. You're getting paid to promote.
Show. Right, you're a promoter. You're a show.
Right.
So I don't know.
There's got to be like a clause within when you're signing up for this centralized exchange or any platform that says that there's no third-party risk associated with if you're a promoter, right? There has to be
it
some
would be
legal
hard for me to see that they would be liable, that they could be sued. They should be going after him, obviously.
Well, funny enough, did you hear what he
and all
just
the politicians who got money from him? I think that money should be taken back. The politicians got a lot of money from him. We know that.
100%, and we're actually going to touch on that momentarily.
Okay, great.
But listen to what Market Watch came out with yesterday, and this is directly from the fraudster. Fuck regulators, according to Sam Bankman-Fried. Right? It says FTX blow up. This is what he says. I feel bad for those who got fucked by it.
Yeah, great.
very, very fucking sadistic. I mean, I really, this guy is
Well,
a very terrible example of an individual who sets up a Ponzi scheme and completely trolls uh, regulators, clients,
yeah.
customers, investors, right? You know,
Well, like he seems like a guy who's figured out that he's untouchable because he gives money to all the right people,
right,
and he's aligned their pockets. So if somebody like that feels like they can do whatever they want, no matter what, they'll be protected no matter what. He doesn't seem like he's afraid of getting arrested now. He doesn't seem like he's. I saw one of his tweets. He was like, "I fucked up. I should have done better."
right.
A lot of remorse there in that guy's tone. It was just like, oh well, I screwed up. I'm gonna go back to playing video games and
Right,
hanging out
League of
with
Legends. Let's go ahead and continue playing
and
League of
hanging out
Legends.
with my, all the little orgy I have together in the Bahamas.
Well, according to The Hill, it says that the Housing Committee announced yesterday that there's going to be a hearing and a deep dive, basically, into the collapse of FTX, and they're going to try with all their power. They're going to try, right, to actually get them extradited back to the U.S. For this hearing with the Housing Committee. Whether that goes anywhere, who knows? But, you know, speaking of individuals who receive donations or, payouts by FTX, Fox Business yesterday announced that Maxine Waters was dodging questions about FTX and Democratic ties and claims that both sides received money, right? And according to this report that came out from Fox Business yesterday, it says that Hillary Vaughn from The Hill asked Maxine Waters that, which Democrats received campaign cash from FTX, and she said, "Well, I don't want to speak about that right now. As a matter of fact, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have received donations, so thank you." And as they continue to actually go into questioning her and looking for answers, the chairwoman of the Financial Housing Services, or as you were, the Financial Services Committee, claimed that both sides received massive donations, and they asked her if she was going to return any of the money that she received back from the donation. She said, absolutely not. Nope. Right? I'm not returning back that money.
Yeah, so the money was stolen from investors. It was basically the money was stolen from investors, given, obviously he got a lot, but given to a lot of politicians to spread influence around.
Right.
And now the house of cards is falling down, and these guys want to keep the money.
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. Overall, in 2021 and 2022, the fraudster donated $38 million to various candidates and PACs, mainly giving his cash to Democratic candidates and left-wing groups, according to the Federal Election Commission filing, the FEC, right? It says the majority of his political givings, though, went to protest Our Future PAC, a group founded in January that is dedicated to boosting candidates committed to preventing future pandemics. It says the fraudster wired an initial $9 million in February to that PAC. Shortly after it was created, the FEC records showed this information, and it says that he also made another 3 donations of $18 million between March and June. His increased total contributions for what were they called? Oh, yeah, Protect Our Future PAC, a total of $27 million, right? And the Daily Beast reached out to 25 lawmakers that received money and reported that some said they'll give the money to charity, right? And other Democratic candidates didn't even reply at all, right? So names of Democratic candidates that have received political contributions from FTX includes Representative Jesus Garcia, a Democrat, reps like elected Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, Maxwell Frost of Florida, Sidney Kamlanger of California, Jonathan Jacksons of Illinois, Nikki Budzinski of Illinois, Jared Mosinski of Florida, and Rob Menendez Jr. of New Jersey. I mean, and the list goes on, but ultimately, it looks like, with everything that's going on right now, it looks like consumers suffered more than $11 billion in damages because of FTX. And just think about that, Andy. That let's say, for example, you and I were lawmakers, were in high places. Maybe we work for the Financial Services Committee, and we've received donations. Um, you know, FTX collapses. What do we do? What do you start to do, right?
Yeah, I think the extent of it we don't even know. I think it's probably a lot worse than people even know now when they really do the autopsy and see what's going on.
Right.
It's going
Right.
to be there's going to be a lot of other.
I like that, the autopsy.
They're going to really find out how deep it goes, and like I said, it goes deep. This guy was a huge contributor. I mean, he did some contributions to Republicans, but by and large, by far, the majority were Democrats. And he obviously was a far leftist.
Right.
His parents were highly involved in politics, so he really he was really pushing very, very hard for the far left agenda.
Right.
And it's great to see somebody like that fall
Right.
because they're really supporting very very sick ideas, very destructive ideas, very un-American ideas, unconstitutional ideas, really when it comes down to it. So they
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing, Andy. One thing that Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, who's a multi-billion-dollar investor, he had the audacity to say that he would invest again with Sam Bankman-Fraudster. He would invest again with this criminal, right?
Wow.
Not only that, Reuters came out, and Reuters is very right-leaning, or as you were, left-leaning.
Oh,
right?
far left, yeah.
Far left-leaning. They had the same audacity to come out and say that FTX collapse dooms founders' efforts to prevent another pandemic, and that this event that took place with FTX was actually good for the financial markets, right? It was a benefit. So, I don't want to, talk about this Frost, or we're giving them too much clout, but it's extremely important to understand that, hey, they're going to try to protect the narrative, right? These media sites, right? These
well, I do think it's good in a sense that the crypto space is being cleared out of all these unsubstantial projects that don't have real value, that are really just based on sleight of hand and investment manipulations and machinations. So we saw it happen with Terra Luna. It's gone.
Right.
Right.
Celsius
gone. Okay.
BlockFi
gone.
Bankrupt. Genesis Trading blasted, insolvent.
And now FTX, which was a big player, they're gone. So we got to clean out. We got to clean out the just like with the .com. This is the similar period that crypto's going through with the .com, where you have to clear out all this waste and excess, and all these companies that really don't have something very legitimate and real to offer. But crypto space, the ones that survive will be very solid.
Well, but I completely agree with you. And being the first human that I am, and second, the capitalist that I am, this is going to open up a lot of generational wealth buying opportunities in the precious metal space as well as in the crypto space, 100%. And just in, Alan from his doctor's appointment just texted me saying that according to the UK finance prime minister, finance minister, as you were, they just announced that tax hikes and spending cuts says country is now in a recession. It says that the UK announces billions in tax increases and spending cuts, and that the UK recession wipes out 8 years of family growth and income growth. Um, so it looks like, according to the finance minister from the UK, it looks like they have announced that they're in a recession, right? Huge news.
Yeah, it's
This
bad.
is massive.
I mean, we know that they were
Well, we knew they were in a recession, right?
because they're starting to lower their interest rates there.
Yeah.
So we're going to see it worldwide, and it's obviously coming here, folks. And you need to be prepared. You need to have gold and silver. You need to have your house in order. You need to have a real asset that's always going to be there for you to protect your wealth.
Right.
Right. It used to be that savings in gold and silver were really what people valued before we got in this area of inflated stock market bubbles and excessive debt and lending. And this period really seems like it's coming. This whole debt-based economy, lending-based economy, ridiculously overly leveraged. This is coming to an end, and I think we're heading back into a major historical period where the uh, the person who accumulates real wealth will be that's going to be what's desirable. That's going to be considered real wealth, not stuff created in the stock market fantasy world.
Let me make something very clear to our listeners and those who will find us on YouTube, right? Because of the YouTube algorithm. This is not a get-rich-buying scheme whatsoever. This is the ultimate way to safeguard one's portfolio or uninvested cash. You have to think about where we're transitioning to and where we're headed to. According to the Federal Bank of New York, the Fed of New York, as you were, it looks like Wells Fargo, MasterCard, Visa, and HBCS are about to start a 12-week pilot program for central bank digital currency, a socialist spy trackware form of digital currency, which ultimately traps an American citizen into the grips of the government on how they can spend, what they could spend their money on, and who they can transfer or send money to. So it's ultimately you losing full control over your retirement savings and your deposit account. And gold is the only way to avoid such a socialist, confiscatory type of execution by these bastards, right? Think about this, right? Would you rather have physical gold in hand, or would you rather have a spyware tracked credit card or debit card, whatever you want to call it, right, to store your wealth in? And keep in mind, you'll probably ask yourself, well, I can't spend it at the store, right? I can't break off, a piece of silver or a piece of gold and spend it. Well, no shit, right? The idea of physical gold is to store your wealth. It's a form of insurance on the money you've already earned and worked for. It's a way to preserve and set aside the money you can't afford to lose, right? At the same time, preserving and compounding interest over time, increasing and growing your retirement savings, your deposit savings, right?
Yeah, it's really coming, and the government wants to control. They want to control every cent that is in the economy. And imagine that you have all of your money is tied up with this central bank digital currency, and they decide you have the wrong political views. They decide they're
going to shut you down and shut you off, take you offline.
Yeah, they'll shut you off, and you won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to. You'll have no access to anything. And this is this China social credit score. It's real. It's starting to happen here. We're seeing this pilot program now, which is very, very, very frightening that they're getting this going. So,
here's the thing, Andy. I just want to say it one more time. Get your house in order. Give us a call at 1-800-753-8534. Again, that number is 1-800-753-8534. Get some physical gold and silver in your hand. We're not saying put your entire retirement savings or your deposit savings in physical gold, but what you should do is you should at least have the consideration to at least preserve a portion of the money you have, right? If central banks right now are stockpiling physical gold, more physical gold they've ever purchased in the last 75 years than they have this year alone, it's a telltale sign on where their head's at. These are the people who dictate monetary policy. These are the people who create the monetary policy. These are the people who manipulate the monetary policy. And where their head's at right now is that they're stockpiling physical gold at the fastest and largest pace ever recorded in U.S. history. Secondly, you have to look at what are some of the biggest banks in the world currently doing. What is it? J.P. Morgan has 400 million ounces of physical silver on hand,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Think about that. I
Yeah.
mean, at least mitigate some sort of exposure by giving us a call again at 1-800-753-8534. Again, that's 1-800-753-8534. Give us a call, right? It's not where you start, it's where you finish.
We're heading into that second phase of the precious metals bull market. Right now is the time. You want to get in while it's boring, while the waters are calm. You don't want to get in you don't jump in while the waters are rushing.
Right. You don't
Right?
FOMO, right?
Don't FOMO in when everybody's panicking and they don't know how to swim and everybody's desperate. That's what happened with FTX. People jumped in to something like that. It was the new thing. All the celebrities were touting it, and they jumped in. And now look what happened to them. Everything's been wiped out. Get in right now. Enjoy the big run we're about to see over the next 3 to 5 years.
I wanted just to say this. It's like, Andy, you're an expert in precious metals, and I would say, if you do call in, the guy that I would want to speak with would be Andrew, just because he has more than a couple decades of precious metals knowledge. But number one, Andy at one point in his career before becoming a teacher was a commodity as well as a stockbroker a very long time ago. So he has not only precious metals knowledge, but he also has, information and knowledge about different asset classes, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, oil, right, cryptocurrencies, and ultimately precious metals. So he is a full service investment specialist, right, with knowledge in all asset classes, fully licensed as well, Series 3. And didn't you have a series?
Well, I'm no longer a stockbroker, obviously, but
right. At one point you were fully licensed.
Yeah, right.
One thing I do want to share with you that I read yesterday from Zero Hedge is that sheriffs refuse to enforce Democratic-controlled states of their new gun laws. Right? It looks like several sheriffs in Oregon right now said that they will not enforce the state's new gun law that places a limit on magazine capacity, arguing the new provisions by the Constitution's Second Amendment. One thing I have to say about that, which, I own a couple pistols, I own a couple rifles, and I'm a fan of heading to the shooting range and, locking my eyes on a target and walking away from that session as an expert marksman, right? As a master of lining up and executing a perfect shot. Like, when I see and I hear about states that are traditionally all blue refusing to follow these radical democratic gun policies, it actually impresses me. With everything that's been going on with these mass shootings at schools, like recently, UVA, there was a previous football player who was dealing with unhealthy mental disorders or whatever his case was, and murdered what was it, 2 or 3 of his previous former teammates. I see why Democrats want to go ahead and limit individuals the ability to actually purchase rifles or purchase weapons but the way they're doing it, it's very unethical in my eyes, because for simple fact is that not everybody that owns a rifle and that owns pistols or any form of weaponry is a bad person, right?
I would say even, very 99.99% of people who own firearms are obviously very good people because we don't see them using it in a negative way. Um, what the problem is when you have you have criminals who get obviously can get hold of weapons and cause great damage, or people who are mentally disturbed or very emotionally distraught can do that. And like you said, to be honest, there is a price to pay for having a Second Amendment. Uh, Obviously, that people can do a lot of bad with guns, but overall, if we didn't have that Second Amendment, we'd probably be far further along in the police state than we are now. And
It's
yeah,
amazing to see that these are sheriffs who serve their people, do right by their people
well,
in Oregon.
Eastern Oregon is actually very conservative.
Yeah, I bet there's
And
pockets.
yeah, and
There's pockets.
there's even a movement that Eastern Oregon should become part of Idaho. So those
No shit.
Yeah, because those people, the conservative people in Eastern Oregon, they don't have their voice heard in politics because Democrats win
Right.
there all the time. They want to be a place where they feel like their values are represented. So they're saying, take this area, and we want to be part of Idaho,
Right.
right?
Right.
And we want to be a part of people who have similar values.
Hey, Andy, just in, Republicans announced investigation into Joe Biden. Justin, I wish I could show this video. It's about a 2-minute clip.
Great.
But like I said, unfortunately, we don't have access to the other laptop here to show that. But hey, listen, I'm looking at it right now. I'm reading it right now. It says Republicans announce investigation into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. This is exactly what I thought was not going to happen. I literally thought, and hey, listen, like it or hate it, I literally thought that Republicans were going to sit on their ass like they have been for the last 2 years. But hey, listen, it seems like I was wrong, right? Which I can accept.
I'd love to see what comes out of this. The sad thing is this obviously should have been done by the FBI and the Justice Department, but of course that's not happening. But hey, I think they're gonna at the very least they're gonna cover some very disturbing information that a lot of us here on the right already know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, right? Because like I say it all the time, like I feel that this whole political game is a way for the Matrix to confuse and hypnotize you with what's important in life. And what's important in life is, number one, spirituality and God. If you're a religious individual, by all means, support Jesus, Jehovah, Muhammad, or whomever. At the end of the day, that's it, to each his own. But what's important is to break out of the matrix, find spirituality, find God in yourself, as well as create massive abundance, massive wealth for yourself, so that you take the first step by breaking out of the matrix. And the first step is finding God, finding spirituality, and creating wealth and abundance for yourself to enjoy the universe while you have the time here on God's green earth, right?
Yeah.
One thing I do want to cover, and not go down my rabbit hole, right, is that according to Decrypted, this is something that Alan just sent me right now. He just texted and say, hey, I love this show. Keep it going. You guys are great. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate that.
All right.
But
Thanks,
this
Alan.
is going to make our listeners laugh. Justin Bieber paid $1.3 million for what's called a Bored Ape NFT that is now worth $69,000. What an investment!
69,000.
69,000.
Surprised it's worth that. Yeah.
Right? Here's the thing. I'm not a fan of NFT art because I feel it's a way for individuals to get scammed out of significant money. Which, if you're into art, by all means, purchase an expensive NFT, digital picture if you want, right? To me, it's ridiculous. I don't agree with it. But what I do agree with is what an NFT is, right? A non-fungible token, creating digital legitimate ownership of an asset class. For example, we just seen in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania about a month and a half ago, a real estate transaction go down where the seller sold the property to the end buyer through what's called a non-fungible token. So instead of involving third party, it was sold from the seller, eliminated a third party to the end buyer through a digital NFT contract, right? Zeros and ones that legitimately give you the ability to have complete ownership over a specific asset. And in this case, in Philadelphia, it was a real estate transaction. It was a gorgeous house that the seller decided to go ahead and work with and use the NFT to actually sell the rights of the actual property over to the end buyer. I like that idea.
I do too. Yeah,
I
that's
like the
powerful,
idea
yeah.
of having full control over every asset that I have and eliminating the third party that's always associated with the transaction, right? You know, and I mean, you know, Justin Bieber, 1.3 million to him, it's nothing. You know,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But still, it's the idea that a picture of a monkey or an ape, right, was sold for 1.3 and now it's valued at $69,000, right?
Yeah, it's like,
it's a fucking debacle.
it's like that idea that all value is really subjective. If you think about it, what constitutes value?
Right.
That's a really interesting question.
Your opinion.
You know, like you have a basketball player, you know, who makes $30 or $40 million a year. Why is that valuable? Well, it's valuable because people watch and advertisers feel like they can sell to people who watch. If you didn't have those factors there, then you really don't have any value to the basketball player. If he entertains people, if people find it interesting and they watch. If they didn't watch, maybe people are not interested in that. If you had a whole different culture that had different values, then people wouldn't spend their time being entertained or distracted or whatever you feel like sports does for you. So it's really interesting, the whole idea of value. What is value?
Right.
It's so value. Almost all value, you could say, is subjective. I mean, somebody could say, well, food has true value. Okay, a house has true value, but maybe not to a nomadic tribesman
Right.
having he'd rather live out in the open, and that doesn't have value to him. You have a house. It's just like, well, I don't need this. I'm a wanderer. I go from place to place. I hunt animals. I wander around. So the whole idea of what's valuable, right? Now, when you get to the value of gold and silver, you could say that as well. It's just a metal. But obviously, silver has a lot of industrial value. But think about it. Gold and silver have been valuable throughout the world, right? Since the dawn of time.
Right.
What other commodity or what other product can you say that of? Really nothing. If you think about it, you can't say that. You know, something's valuable now. You know, certain things were valuable hundreds of years ago. They're not valuable anymore. But gold and silver really have stood the test of time. So yeah, value is subjective to a large degree, but almost every culture throughout the world has agreed that gold and silver have value, right?
And I think one thing to understand when it comes to value in gold and silver is that you could have an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver, right? Live here in the U.S. and find yourself one day, leaving the U.S., finding yourself in, let's say, Saudi Arabia or India or Colombia, right?
Or Dubai.
Or hey,
that's
Dubai.
where Ron wants to go.
Hey, that's my ultimate goal and dream is to actually become a resident of Dubai, right? Just because I see and I know exactly where that area of the country is headed towards and what they have already done, and all the abundance and wealth they've created for their build out, right? But anyway, you can go to Dubai, for example, take an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver and exchange it for whatever currency is available there. You can't say the same with the dollar. You can't say the same with the yen, right? Gold and silver are recognized as global currencies all through the world, right? They have a value. I shouldn't say global currencies, but they have a value. and that exchange rate is always a one-to-one equivalent, right? Um, and pragmatically and industrially, silver is a sleeper, right? Silver is the sleeping giant, right?
Yep.
This is why Robert Kiyosaki believes that silver is going to go up to what, $400 an ounce
Three,
or
four
something?
hundred.
Three, 400 an
Yeah.
ounce, and it's not like, let's just take a bong hit and just reach towards the skies. This is legitimate. You got to look at back between 1931 and 1932. Silver was trading at 25 cents, right? And during that year period, it went from 25 cents to $50 per ounce. Think about that. That is hey, listen, $10,000, $5,000 invested in silver back then would have yielded you back a few million, right?
Silver has great potential. I agree. I think the uses of silver keep expanding.
It's a 200x move. That was a 200x move. So if you put $1,000 into that, you would yield back $200,000.
Not bad,
right? You put 10,000, that's $2 million. That was a 200x increase on what it was trading at, right? But like I say, and like Alan says, and our idea about owning physical metals is a way for you to preserve the money you've worked for, the money you've earned, and it's an insurance policy on that money.
That's it. There it is, right there. It's something that you always have. You can pass down to your kids, your grandkids. You're always going to have it. It's always going to have value. And I think too, I think there's something very fundamental too about gold and silver, which sometimes it's until you actually. I didn't realize this until I actually bought gold and silver myself, but gold and silver connect it's very strange that gold and silver have always been money everywhere in the world.
Right.
And gold happens to be a symbol of the sun, the same color of the sun, and silver the moon.
Yeah.
So you're dealing like with a couple of the basic energies of the universe.
Right.
It really comes down to that, and that's like why else would gold and silver have the position that they've had? There's so many other metals that are out there, right? And whether you believe that certain aliens came to the earth to mine the country for gold because they needed it for a certain
for their atmosphere protection.
For their atmosphere protection.
Yeah, I've heard the story of the Anunnaki.
If you believe that,
by all means,
okay.
believe it.
Hey, there's so many things we don't really know.
Right.
Okay, but gold, the light of the sun.
Right.
It's really like the light of God, the light of consciousness.
Right.
And then silver is taking that consciousness and reflecting it, the feminine principle, right? So you got the masculine and feminine principles there, the source of life, right? So I think at a really fundamental level that these are the basic energies that are the foundation. Or if we have no sun, obviously there's no life, right? And if we have, the moon that has so many other subtle factors, the way it governs the tides and the currents and all the water and everything like that. So just a thought, put it out there. Believe it if you need it or leave it if you dare.
Andy, I agree with you 100%. But, that's why those who have physical gold or physical silver and bulk of it always seem to attract more wealth. There's a very esoteric.
That's right.
There's esoteric knowledge about physical gold and physical silver that I learned at a very young age, right?
Yeah.
I think I learned about the esoteric knowledge when it comes to energy and physical gold and silver when I was maybe 15, 16 years old, right? Not a lot of people have the opportunity or the ability to understand or even comprehend mentally what it means, right? At least.
Maybe that's why Robert Kiyosaki never sells.
Exactly. And why do you think the central banks and why do you think multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires own truckloads of physical gold and silver? Because of its esoteric knowledge and its, energy that it attracts more and more and more wealth. Like, listen, when I bought my first gold coin, it attracted 5 more gold coins. And those 6 coins attracted 20 more gold coins, et cetera, and et cetera.
Interesting. Yeah.
And again, guys, get your house in order. Give us a call, 1-800-753-8534. Again, that number is 800-753-8534. Andy, this has been a really great podcast. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to have fun doing this. I can't wait to see or hear any of the comments on things we could improve. Right, we're always looking to get better. And keep in mind, we're only a few weeks away from being in our new newsroom, right, which is going to
Yeah.
be spectacular. Maybe there's going to be a drop down or a drop back of Dubai behind us. You never know, right?
Yeah. So you guys all be able to say like, I saw the Rolling Stones when they were in a tiny little club, right? With 12 people, right? I saw the Ramones at CBGB's, right? and then now you're going to see us on the big stage because we're really going to be stepping it up. So we'll be having a really awesome high tech newsroom there coming soon.
Guys, follow, share us with your friends, right?
Get the word out.
Get the word out because we're only going to get better day by day by 1%, 2%, 3%. And by the time you know it, we're one of the top news political podcasts out there, just having